If you're thinking about selling your house fast for cash in Cocoa, Florida, you may be surprised that your house and most others in your neighborhood have very similar signs of wear and tear. That's because most of Cocoa was quickly built to accommodate a population growth spurt that was created by the Kennedy Space Center. So your house was probably built in the last 40 years and can be considered relatively new. When you purchased your home, perhaps you were attracted to its location by the beach or the historic places that have been preserved throughout Cocoa. However, due to a large amount of lower income neighborhoods that contribute to the city's high crime rate, you may be ready to move elsewhere. You should be happy to know that selling your house fast for cash has never been easier. Reasons for selling your house to a real estate investment company like Fiesta Home Buyers may vary, but most likely there's a financial issue that's prompting you to be a motivated seller. Of course, you have the option of working with a realtor, but most people in financial distress need to sell their house fast. And no matter what your situation is, we offer two options: a total cash payout or a lease to purchase program. The second option allows us to buy your house at a higher price and allows you, the seller, to receive monthly payments throughout a set term. Both options were considered by the owners of this beautiful home who needed to sell quickly because they were going through a divorce. Divorce never seemed possible when they got married 4 years ago. The couple just planned to settle in Brevard County and raise their family by the beach as the husband began his career in boat sales. But in the last year, the couple decided to end their marriage and get rid of the only thing they had in common, which was their home. Usually when a divorce is pending in Florida, a real estate investor is part of the selling process. This is so because the speed of the sale is essential. On top of this, an investor can arrange for an exact closing date before the divorce happens, so the couple can claim a $500,000 tax deduction. If a realtor is involved in the sale, the closing could happen after the divorce, which would limit the couple's tax deduction to $250,000. This is just one scenario where selling your house fast for cash through a real estate investor is the preferred choice. Of course, there are numerous situations where selling your house through a realtor is a wise decision, but with distressed houses like this one, they usually end up hindering the selling process. This happens when they ask the homeowner to invest money into repairs so the house can be sold at a higher price. Since the seller of a house like this probably doesn't have any extra money, the realtor may spend less effort on trying to get the house sold. Also, the mirage of getting more money by using a realtor can disappear when the seller has to pay a 6% realtor commission. On the flip side, the commission doesn't exist when dealing with an investor. In fact, the investor would cover all of the closing costs in order to make the selling process more streamlined. What homeowners don't realize is that the costs of working with a realtor can be substantial. This estimate of closing fees and drawdowns is something that I recently showed to a seller when making a fast cash offer on their house in Cocoa Beach. Most people who live off the grid choose that lifestyle because they feel happiness in isolation. Between Lee Street and King Street, there are houses like this where the occupants would like to be left alone. The family living in this house survives on a fixed income, so it's unlikely that they'll be doing any repairs even if they felt it was a priority. Recently, the city has officially condemned the house. The occupants' lack of funds for repairs requires that they sell their house fast for cash. Hopefully, they will use their proceeds to live off the grid in style. Distressed houses are typically associated with investors, but it should be stressed that we deal with all kinds of houses. Case in point, there are upper-class developments throughout a Cocoa neighborhood called Viera where investors are very busy. We can see here a good example of what kind of houses we prefer. Notice how the grass of this vacant house is well manicured. It shows that a bank has taken possession of it through a foreclosure. Had we been contacted by the family before this happened, they probably would have recouped a lot more of their equity for a better future. Probably the biggest reason for foreclosures is the lack of knowledge concerning the role of the investor in the real estate ecosystem. Homeowners can sell their homes fast for cash even in the worst of situations. Between Falcon Boulevard and Grissom Parkway in Cocoa, there is an expanse of properties that are owned by middle-income families. This always seems to be a busy area for investors who can infuse money into renovations. In this area, there's a checkered landscape of houses that have not seen repairs for a long time. When it's time to sell, they're not desirable enough to be put on the open market. That's why many choose to sell their house fast for cash to an investor. There's no planning or extra fees to get the job done. Here's an example of how the slow cycle of house degradation can start for a middle-class neighborhood. No doubt the neighbors have gotten used to the tarp on the house after a storm blew through 3 months ago. If you look at the branch stump that's extending to the house, you can imagine what happened. The insurance money allowed the family to remove the tree branch from the roof, but fixing the roof might not happen in the near future. Maybe years could pass with nothing being done. In this situation, the city could periodically place liens on the house, but an investor may be able to get them forgiven if he's experienced. Real estate agents are not accustomed to attacking debt in order to sell a house. That's because they have only been trained to handle the easy deals that have no encumbrances. When investors do the work that is deemed too difficult by realtors, neighborhoods are able to increase in value and the city benefits from this.